Oh, hi there. I'm Kat. Thank you for joining me for Chat with Kat. We're going on a journey and having conversations with people from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. And during this journey, we're going to probably laugh and smile. We'll have moments of compassion and cry. We may be angry or feel confronted, and we may be amazed and just need to ponder. So, whatever the emotion is that comes up, let's take a moment to breathe and ask ourselves why we're feeling this. And also, let's ask, what can I learn from this? So go ahead and like, share, subscribe to this, and make sure that your friends and family and colleagues and anyone you feel could get something from this gets to see this. So let's get on with our journey with Chat with Kat.
Well, hey, John. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining me today with the Chat with Kat. I know we know each other through the Self-Perfected group, but there's a lot of people who are probably joining us who don't know who you are. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is John, born and raised in Garden Grove, California. I was the kind of person that, grew up with just a lot of different traumas, anxieties, and so forth. And I, early on, always felt like there was, more to life, right? And I got into, personal growth in, 2020, and just like so many things, changed from there. And my bigger goal now is to just help people, grow, change themselves, and just really become the best versions, right? As well as looking at all the issues in the world, right? There's so much corruption, so much division. So I'm really here just trying to, help people realize that and just work together to create a best world possible, right? And of course, I'll go into a little more detail when you share, but that's a little, a bit about me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, great. Thank you. And so you started, personal growth and development, not that long ago. So what was it that led you to that point then?
Man, just like I've always felt like when I was growing up, I just had so much anxiety, right? So much anxiety. I always felt like life never went my way, right? For some reason, I just never fit in. I was never part of the cool kids, and I'll always be called I always compare myself with my older brother, right? And he'll call me dumb, stupid, you can't do this, can't do that. And I grew up always wanting to try to prove myself, right? Prove my worth, prove that I'm not like a fuck up, right? For lack of a better word. And I got into personal growth just because it was funny because I read this book called Creating Raving Fans, right? For customer service, business stuff. And I realized that I could actually grow, because growing up, I literally had such an insane fixed mindset. I'm like, dude, what is going on? I'm just going to be this person forever, or I'm going to be a loser forever. I cannot succeed ever, right? And then when I read that book, I found that, wait, maybe my life isn't just fixed, right? Maybe I'm not just going to stay this way forever, right? And then from there, I just dug more into different, personal growth books, and eventually got into entrepreneurship back in 2020.
Okay. And so so you've had that journey getting into that, but then what led you actually into the group where we met each other?
So pretty much even when I got into personal growth, right, I was doing everything, right? I was doing the meditations, the breath works, the affirmations, and I was seeing some results with it. And I was still stuck. I was still this broke person only making 2K a month. And for me, I was just trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to succeed? Why are people what's the difference between someone that's successful and someone that's not, right? Because I felt like I was doing everything that, these quote unquote entrepreneurs were doing, like the cold showers, the visualization. And what I did, I went to this this networking event by Patrick David, right? The Vault Conference over in 2021. And my whole goal with that event was to just figure out what was the thing that was holding me back, right? What am I actually missing here, right? So I wanted to like talk to other, successful entrepreneurs to see like how can you help me, right? What are you doing that I'm not doing? And I met Pedro, right? I saw Pedro there. He was like a young, super ambitious looking person. And I'm like, dude, I gotta talk to this guy. He has something that I want. Like he was literally walking up to like business owners, multimillionaires, shaking everyone's hands. And I'm like, okay, I have to know like what are you actually doing, right, to succeed and so forth. So I met Pedro, and I was just sharing my story about like what was, my situation, like why was I so broke? Why did I still have anxiety for, right? And then he shared with me the whole concept of like subconscious, unconscious programming. And it was like, yeah, dude, like you have some limiting beliefs that you're going through right now that you're not even aware of, right? And at that point, I did know a little bit about like the subconscious mind, but I didn't know much about the unconscious, right? So when people shared with me more about that, shared me different tools, shared with me self-perfected, self-forgiveness process, tech and tutor, and I initially got it because I wanted to change my life, right? I wanted to build confidence. I wanted to build leadership. I wanted to make more money. And I saw that he had that. And, fast forward, been part of the group for, 4 or 5 years now. And just, past those couple of years, there's been so much growth, like so many, too many to name, right? Yeah.
Okay, so you got these tools, you started using them. So what was maybe the biggest thing that changed your life that you went, there's something here?
I would say like, okay, so the first moment where I knew these tools worked was when I got invited to this really like private like network, like this private event full of like successful like business owners, 8-figure earners, 7-figure earners. And the person that invited me was just, some entrepreneur that, like resonated with me. And before I went to the event, and at that time I had tech and tutor for like 2 weeks now. And I'm like, dude, I'm having so much anxiety, so much overwhelm. I'm like, if I go to this event, I'm gonna get so much like judgment towards myself, right? And just like the memories started coming up of, oh man, I have to prove myself. I have to, show that I'm not like this, loser, or like I'm not good enough, right? And when I thought about talking to millionaires, I'm like, holy shit, they're just gonna judge me. They're just gonna judge me, talk down on me and stuff. And the feeling was so strong that I didn't want to go to the event, right? And so then I called Pedro on the A, bro, like, okay, so I have this tool, like I can, build more confidence with it, be more stable with it. Like, how do you use it, right? And he went through a process, helped me use it for confidence. And then when I used it, I didn't really think much of it. Man, it was like, a long time ago when I got the tool. So the feeling I had was just like, okay, I'm just like going through it and okay, wait, that's it, right? And then when I went to the event, like that was the moment when things shifted. Like before I walked into the door, I was like, oh man, okay, something shifted here, right? I'm like, I'm feeling calm, feeling stable, feeling confident. And when I opened the door, I walked in, I was just scanning the room. I'm like, wait, what the heck just happened? Like, why am I not nervous? Why am I so just confident right now, right? And then I just started testing it out. I went to talk to a bunch of people. The first person I talked to, I just walked straight to them, right? And when we just had a conversation, it just felt normal. It felt normal, felt real. And I didn't even think of anything like, oh, you're gonna judge me, and like that, right? And then when we had lunch, so the way to set it up was like a more private lunch where everyone's just sitting down, hanging out together, including the speakers. And after I finished eating, I stood up and I was like, okay, I want to try to find the most powerful person in this room. Right? I stood up, looked around. I walked up to that person, and we just had an amazing conversation. Like it was so good. We built a great connection, and I found out that he's one of the main speakers at that event. And this guy he made like $40 million, right? And then what's crazy was when he spoke, he was like, all right, guys, so before I share my talk, I just want to give a quick shout out to a very young, ambitious man, John Tran. You guys got to talk to him. He has a great story, great impact he's making. John, please stand up, right?
Wow.
I stood up. I was like, wait, what the heck is happening? Like, how is this possible? Right? Because mind you, like for 21 years of my life, I thought I was just gonna be alone forever. I thought that like society was just against me. Like life just sucked. Like life was unfair, right? Nothing was gonna work for me. And all of a sudden I'm at this like private mastermind with multimillionaires all around me, and I get shouted out on stage, right? It was crazy. And then even then I didn't think too much of it. And then we had another session for like midday like break or something. And then I spoke to more people, right? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna try to talk to the most powerful person. And then I ended up talking to the guy that hosted the event, like the main guy that ran the whole show. And exactly, he's like we had an amazing conversation, resonated so much. And then when he spoke, he's like, all right, guys, real quick, want to give a quick shout out, John Tran, young, ambitious, very hungry. Like you guys have to meet him. Has an amazing story, great conversationalist, and shouted me out again, right? And I was like, wow, fuck, how is that possible, right? How is this anxious loser doing this, right? And then when I got back to my hotel, I was just sitting in my bed. I'm like processing what just happened. I'm like, was that a dream? Was that real? It must be a dream, right? And then I'm like, wait, this actually happened. I'm here, right? I'm not dreaming. And then I called Pedro. I FaceTimed him. I'm like, dude, bro, like, what'd you do to me, dog? What did you do to me, bro? He's like, what happened? I'm like, bro, like craziest shit ever. You won't believe it. And I shared that story with him. And he was like, yep, that's the power of TechnoTutor, right? So that was my very first moment. Like I saw like just an instant shift, right? And then over the years I just started using it for different things like real estate, use it for running sales teams, using it for getting relationships, more confidence, and just really being more of a leader, right? Started running masterminds too. And now it's just like it's still there's just so many things to work on, right? But these tools are the only tools that I've been using consistently for the past 5-6 years. Everything else, like they were great, right? I did take mindset coaching, high performance coaching, pay for a bunch of programs. It worked a little bit, but there was still that missing piece there. I was getting some results, but I was still having the anxiety. I was still having the fears. Things were still coming up. I was still sabotaging myself, right? And then with TechnoTutor and just the stuff forgiveness process, I just was able to realize how much power I have and that I am actually a creator. I can create the reality that I want, right? And there's just so much to share,
Wow, amazing. Honestly, like you hear people's success stories, right? And you hear from where they started, and then you often go, but that can't happen for me, right? Like that's them. That's great. That can happen for them, but it can't happen for me. And when you can actually put it into your own life and then start using tools that help you and support you, it's such incredible things that happen. Like hearing those stories, I love that, right? So
it's crazy because like whenever I don't share that story too often, but whenever someone asks me about like, oh, my first experience with these tools, I'm like, holy shit, like this stuff actually happened. I actually changed a lot. Like if we if your audience, like if you guys watched the first interview I did with Pedro like 4 years ago, you'll see a major difference, right? And just like communication, cadence, confidence, body language, and just like it's like a night and day difference. So yeah, it's like personal growth times 1,000. It's like on steroids, right? It's like real growth, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then from there, like so confidence was the first thing I worked on. And then I started digging into real estate, right? So before I got these tools, I was doing real estate wholesaling, and I was doing that for a good year. Zero money. I made no money from that business. I was doing a bunch of cold calls for like hours at a time, every single day, right? And then I would notice myself getting really close to closing these deals. And mind you, these deals, you know, I can make 10, 20K per deal, right? It was a lot of money for me. And the most money that I've ever seen growing up was like 7K per month, right? My dad would make 7K per month. So that was kind of my limit subconsciously, right? So when I thought about making 10,000, I was like, holy shit, that's so much money, right? And then I would, before I ever closed that deal, I would just sabotage myself. I didn't even know what happened. I'm like looking back when I had those calls, whenever I would get a property under contract, I'm like, all right, I want to close this thing. I want to make so much money. I'm about to retire my parents and change my entire life. But something always happened, right? A thought would come up. A thought. It would be like, what if I lose a deal? What if somebody takes a deal from me? What if I actually don't make this money? Right? What if like the seller backs out? Right? What if I'm actually not that good enough? And when I hop on the second call with the seller to secure the deal, they would just not want to move forward, right? It's like the first call, it was great. Second call, all of a sudden, they don't want to move forward. All of a sudden, right?
Right. Yeah.
But like, because I had that like self-sabotage point, that we're believing that I couldn't make that much money, like I will start getting nervous. Like in my voice, I'll start cracking. I'll start being more desperate. I'll start rushing things, you know, and then like they just wouldn't trust me. The seller wouldn't trust me. They'll back out, and I'll be like, fuck. And I start going like I feel defeated, you know. And then that would happen, you know, 4 to like 6 more times. I'll be so close to making 10, 20K in those deals, and every single time something happens, you know, buyer backs out, seller backs out, you know, I did my numbers wrong. Like something would just happen. Right. And then fast forward to using TechnoTutor, it's so crazy because I ended up closing my my biggest deal. I would make like $30,000 in 1 month from that real estate deal. And when I had that call, I can remember it clearly, right? It was just super calm. Like it was calm, it was collected, it was cool. I was a professional, right? I was the authority on the phone talking to the seller. And it was as if I already closed hundreds of deals. Like I spoke as if I was that kind of person already. But that was my first deal I closed. And that just came from really digging deep within myself and just letting go of the things holding me back from making the money. I let go of the things holding me back from having the confidence, right, to having the certainty in my calls. And just like so many different points that would have held me back, I worked on those, let them go, and then I would just carry myself differently, right, and just absolute confidence. And yeah, from there you started closing more and more deals and made a ton of money, you know. And I'm like, yeah, this for sure works. And then fast forward, I started, you know, getting into like sales leadership, sales management for like different companies and just running sales teams. And before that, I never saw myself as a leader, right? I always saw myself as like some kind of follower. You know, I have to like listen to these people, ask them for help, whatever, and never really saw myself as an authority figure, right? Because again, growing up, felt like I wasn't good enough. I never felt good enough. I always felt like I needed validation from people, right?
Yep.
And then, yeah, again, like, you know, just like going back to, you know, using these tools and just becoming more emotionally stable. Yeah, it was natural for me to start building sales teams, being that leader, you know, just being that kind of person that could be successful, right? But yeah, I know I kind of rambled there, but I love sharing this stuff.
No, it's great. I'm just like all in, right? And when you said that you're like you never felt good enough, I think a lot of us can actually understand that. I think a lot of us have been in the positions and we had circumstances and growing up where we weren't good enough. We were compared to somebody else, or there were standards that there were just you could never meet in the family, right? Or whatever that may be. So I think that holds true for a lot of people. I mean, it certainly does for me. That was a big thing for me was not feeling good enough and always being compared to other people, right?
Yeah, it's
So.
a really, really deep point that, so I talk to a lot of people every single day. Like I go to like masterminds, networking events, and I've noticed a lot of the things that really hold somebody back is how they view themselves. It's like that self-image point, right? And they would stop themselves from putting themselves in a position where they could be a new person, or like where they could get these opportunities, make more money, have these better relationships, because they don't really believe that they are worthy of getting those things, right, from childhood, right? Because it's crazy because now that we're talking about this, a point on not being good enough, I remember in school, like it's so crazy. Like my older brother, he was always the smarter one. Like every time he was a smarter one, my parents would give him more attention, right? He would always get all the nice things, like the games, video games, and I was just, it was the exact opposite, right? I would feel neglected. My parents wouldn't give me attention. Like my brother, he would call me stupid, you're dumb, and you're never making a life. And like, they didn't say anything about me being not good enough. I just came to that conclusion myself when I was growing up. And like, it was so like, it was so bad because that moment, I think I was like 5 or 6 years old, where I decided I was just never going to be good enough, right? And then in school, I would never get good grades, and that would confirm I'm not good enough. And then, like when I would try to make friends, I wouldn't really make friends. Another confirmation I'm not good enough, right? I would do my best on like homework, studying. I would try really hard. The most I get is a C, and like everyone else, they'll get A's and B's. I'm like, what the heck? These guys aren't even studying. Another confirmation I'm not good enough, right? So it was like all these things combined where it would just like it's like that whole identity that I created for myself, and that's why I thought like, man, like maybe I'm just not good enough. I can't change. My life was just gonna be this way forever, you know? And then like, yeah, and I just carried over to like different areas of my life, like relationships. Never thought I can get anybody. You know, I was terrified of women when I was like high school and stuff. You know, I was terrified of talking to people. I was terrified of authority figures, and the whole point of not being good enough, I always felt like I had to prove myself so I can get the validation from adults or authority figures to make me, to tell me, like to make me feel like I'm good enough, right? Because man, this goes super deep, and like most people, they don't share stuff. They don't even know what's happening, right? Like so many people nowadays are just, you know, depressed. They're like, you know, they're lonely. They're like just going through the autopilot, and they never really question things, right? And that's where drugs come in. They would do drugs, drink alcohol, just to like suppress, right? And what's crazy was I went through a period of my life where I would do those like substances, like party, have fun, take things that I shouldn't have taken. And like, it was just to numb myself, right? It was just to numb. And I didn't realize that I was going through all this trauma growing up.
Right.
And like, I made the excuse of, oh, I'm just living life. I'm living life to the fullest, maximizing it, having fun, having good energy. And I was big on the whole positivity point too. I'm like, you know what? I'm just positive. Life's amazing. But I was like, my life was shit, right? I was lying to myself for so long. And, doing drugs help with that lie too, to like suppress myself. And then, yeah, just like having the anxiety, like that's where the drugs came in, just like numb the anxiety. I never knew what it was at that point until I got into personal growth and started learning more about like emotions, feelings, energy, all that stuff. And I'm like, damn, this goes deep. Like, I'm probably not the only one, going through this. That's why I decided to, get into this space, be part of a community and just really help share these tools of change. Because like, if I didn't have these tools, if I wasn't, working on myself and like just going really deep, I probably would have been dead, right? Probably wouldn't even be here, I probably wouldn't have, yeah, like who knows what would have happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And thank you for sharing that, because I think, yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't talk about what's really going on, and they put on the facade of this is what, I'm happy, everything's wonderful, but they're really not sharing all the hurts and the pains and anxieties and trauma from their lives, because, they want to fit in, they want to be accepted, they want to be, and there's I guess maybe a thought that I'm going to be so judged harshly if I'm a real person and share these things and vulnerable with people, right? So
yeah, exactly. That's why like so many of us now, like whenever we go outside and meet people, we're afraid of being vulnerable. We're afraid of being ourselves. Like we're always trying to play, like you mentioned, a facade. We're putting on a mask, right? Because we're fearing the judgment of others, right? But in reality, we're actually judging ourselves so much to the point is like we just project that onto people, right? But if everyone can just understand that, hey, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to be yourself, right? It's like, dude, we gotta communicate more with each other. We gotta talk more. That's why I'm so glad what we're doing with like our community, like Self-Perfected, Tech and Tutor. Like we're just really building real community, right? Real community where we can all just support each other and just help us in, becoming the best version of ourselves and just live to our utmost potential, right? It's like, what else is there to live for? Like, are we just going to be mediocre forever? Are we just going to be average forever? Like, what's the whole point, It's like, why not maximize our lives and help others do the same as well and just come together and just create a world that's best for everybody, right? Everyone having basic needs, food, water, shelter, clothing. It doesn't matter what political views we have. In the end, we're all human. We're the same species. We have to come together and just realize like, hey, like we're destroying ourselves and our planet. Like, let's stop this thing, let's end it once and for all. Let's just come together. There's more, like if we just come together, that's where power is, right? That's the power. The reason why this system is the way it is because we all collectively accepted and allowed it to happen, right? Without realizing, of course, So yeah, one of my bigger goals is to help people just wake up, realize who they are, realize what's happening, realize the trap of the system, and just it's hard. But yeah, I'm super glad we're having this conversation because like it just really reminds me to like, yeah, it's like we have to share. We gotta share. We for sure gotta share more. But yeah, that's
so. And you're right. We do have to share, and we have to help people realize that they're not alone in what they're going through, and that there's people who actually care for them and about them and want the best for them and actually can support them. And I think that's really important, especially in today's day and age where I just noticed so much more separation being implemented into the world, right? It's, if you look at a lot of our societies and you look at how they're trying to keep families apart and keeping people isolated and alone. And I mean, there's good uses for technology and AI. There's good uses for it, but I think we're seeing a lot of downfalls of it now too, where it's keeping more people isolated and separated and not able to communicate well with each other. So there is that downside of all this as well. And I think it's really important that we're coming together and really actively being a community. Like, we're real people. We get together in real life. We're not just like, faces on a screen that never see each other. I mean, there was just a big event not that long ago where, a bunch of people got together and had a bunch of fun on a cruise, right? So
yeah, exactly. So much fun. Yeah, definitely the in-person community is a really big thing, and like, what I also want to mention, I think this could help a lot of people too. The whole relationship point, right? It's like, I know you and I were chatting a little bit before this call on that point. Like, people don't want to get married nowadays.
mm-hmm.
They don't want to get married because they're scared, right? They're scared of like the other partner just taking advantage of them. They don't want to have kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to take on that responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole like society and like the media, they're like, we're just so like disconnected from like reality, right? Or like we should be together. We should have partners. We should like procreate. We should like, what is it? Like, the whole Western world,
Mm-hmm.
we're all like this is so much hookup culture nowadays, right? There's so much hookup culture, right? And what I want to mention, the whole relationship point is like, if we want to have a good relationship, we got to have the values, right? We got to have the value, got to have the foundation. And without having a good relationship, like, we're not going to be able to procreate, right? Our species is going to die off, So yeah, the cool thing about our community too is we support each other in getting into relationships where it's based on principles, right? That actually lasts, And it's amazing because when you have a partner, the whole point about growth, like, you need somebody to help you grow because they're a mirror to you, And then the cool thing about this process for me, I was always sabotaging myself in relationships, right? Always felt like I was never enough. I couldn't keep a relationship. I would have so much insecurities, right? And that came from my dad, where he would always feel like he just project insecurities onto my mom, believing that she's doing something behind his back, right? And then they'll get into fights. They'll fight about like finances. They'll fight about like just random stuff, And then for me, I would only be able to have like a relationship for only a few months before we break it off, right? Because I will always fight over small things. But yeah, now, like, after using Technotutor, I now have a fiance, right, based on principles, right? You know her too, Amelie, right? So I proposed to her on the cruise, and then it's crazy because having a relationship based on principles, like, we're just able to communicate so much through like conflict, through what we're going through, and just talk about, okay, why did these reactions come up, right? How can we support each other, right? And then it's funny because when we first got together, there was just so much conflict, so many fights, but that's because our programming for relationships would just come up and clash, right? And over time, like, walking this process, like using these tools, using forgiveness, the relationship it gets better and better and better, right? But like, the average relationship is all like goody, like honeymoon phase, and then it dies off, right? For us, obviously, it just strengthens, But yeah, not sure if you wanted to go into that as well. That's some like detail.
Yeah. And, I think it's important we talk about relationships, not just even having like a life partner, but also in relationships in the world, right? Our friendships, our business and relationships, like how is that being impacted and changing? So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like whoever's watching this, if you are struggling with relationships, come join us. Like we're always here to help out, help you find figure out what's preventing you from getting into a real relationship. And yeah, it's like a massive movement we have,
Yeah. And being able to shift our existing relationships in our lives too, and realizing maybe some of the relationships we've had, maybe were a convenience, like whether friendships, family, whatever, maybe they were a convenience relationship, but weren't really solid, and had a good foundation. And sometimes those things change, right? Like it's not necessarily a bad thing when you realize that, things have to change in your life and you have to move on from something, or just relate to people in a different way.
Yeah. It's so crazy because when I'm looking back, so I have a few friends who went through divorces, and then when I would communicate with them on hey, what's going on? Why are you and your wife fighting for? He's like, oh, it's all her fault, not me. She's never the one changing. She always wants me to change. I'm like, dude, okay, do you feel like you're not responsible at all? He's like, nope, I'm perfect, I'm good. She has to change, right? And when he shared that, I'm like, dude, okay. Looking back at my relationships, I would just blame my partner. I would just blame them so much as your fault. But over time, I realized that it's my responsibility as well. Whenever I had these fights with my partners in the past, I would just be like, yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. It was all your fault. If you don't change, I'm going to leave you. So I put all the responsibility onto them. But now realizing that because we co-created the problem, right? I'm now taking full responsibility for myself. I'm like, okay, if Amelie gets upset, I'm like, what did I do that made her upset, right? I couldn't make her upset directly because, whatever I said reminded her of some kind of a point within her childhood. But I was like, what could I have done to communicate more effectively? What could I have done to, talk in a way where she would, perceive it in a better way, right? Then once I did that, things got so much better, right? We rarely ever fight now. Whenever we have points come up, conflict comes up, we're always saying, hey, hey baby, I'm feeling this way right now. I'm having some kind of back chat. It's not you. I'm going to work on it, but I'm just letting you know if I have any kind of attitude, if I'm saying things that are kind of out of line, just know I apologize in advance. And then she understands. And then she mentions similar things where it's just us taking responsibility. It's the whole thing with reactions in relationships, it all comes from childhood. Every single reaction, every single emotion, every single feeling, blame, fear, judgment, all from childhood, right? So if somebody wants to change, they have to work on those points, right? The childhood points, for relationships or whatever area they want to work on.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting point, and probably a very hard point for a lot of people to hear, is that, where the result of where these things aren't working, and what we haven't dealt with in our past, and it could be things that we're not even consciously aware of, right? I think that's probably a big point too, is that we may be reacting from something in our past, but we're not even aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then we would just blame the other person, And this even implies to friendships too. Friendships is when there was like conflict with my friends, I was like, dude, it's like F you, it's all your fault, you're the problem, whatever. You're making me feel this way. But no, like what people don't realize, nobody can make you feel anything, right?
Mm,
You're feeling that way because whatever they're doing reminds you of something that happened in the past, right? It's like
mm,
we have some kind of like trauma within our body that's like dormant. And then
mm-hmm,
whenever somebody says something that reminds you of that trauma, it's gonna bring all those emotions up, all the exact same emotions. Um,
mm,
and yeah, like emotions are such a big thing. And even just like in like business too, like in business is very, if people are not emotionally stable, like they
mm-hmm,
can't do well in business, right? If you're in relationships, if you're not emotionally stable, you can't do well in relationships, right?
mm-hmm,
Like the whole thing with like success, you have to have that emotional stability.
mm-hmm,
Otherwise, your emotion will just direct your life, you know? And then even on like these interviews, right? These calls, these conversations
mm-hmm,
I'm having with you, like I would still have the point of, oh, I have to say this thing or say the right thing or like play this character for people, you know? And then
mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute, why is that even coming up, right? Because
Right.
interviews remind me of like talking to a boss or a hiring manager where I would feel like I have to prove myself to them, right? So like,
Mm-hmm,
even there's still like a little point within myself where I'm like, dang, I have to prove myself for something. I
mm-hmm,
got to prove myself to the audience.
mm-hmm,
And like, it just goes to show it's like it is a long-term process, but I wouldn't have been able to be aware of that without these tools, without technical tutor, without self-forgiveness, right?
mm-hmm,
But now that I know these points are coming up on this call, I can work on it afterwards. And then the next call we have is even more like more stable, you know?
mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. And I am so glad you're talking about all of this because I personally feel like this is a lot of stuff that we are missing right now in our regular lives and in our regular conversations with people. Right. I mean, I just for example, like this past week, I was talking with somebody who, you know, one minute they wanted certain things, and then the next minute they like literally within an hour they're messaging me going, "No, I've changed my mind and I want these things." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great. Like I'm fine, no problem. Like I'll help you with that too." And then, you know, 2 days later they're like, "Oh well, yeah, no, I'm back to this original thing that I talked to you about." I'm like, "Okay, great. So let me work with you on that." And now they're like, oh well, now they're like, I don't like something the way I said, because I'll be very direct with people. I'm not going to try to make things like, oh, of course it's going to be only this cost, when I know the reality is it's like it can vary, right? So I'll say, well, this is the standard, or this is like the average, or right, and obviously we can work on this or negotiate that, or whatever the situation may be. But I'm like, but just, you know, like right here, this is the standard that's going to happen. Like, because I don't want people also to like be disappointed by the fact that I didn't tell them something. No, I'm giving you the facts, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you either. And I'm not going to be, you know, trying to make you feel like, oh, we can just make this work like this. Well, no, there's certain things that may have to happen, or you may have to say, well, maybe I don't have that thing to make it work like this, right? Like there has to be some sort of a give and a take. But just even noticing that, I'm like, okay, whatever. But just noticing the levels of emotion with for this other person, right? It's like, you know, for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm glad I'm just okay. We can go with it, fine. I'm not
Yeah.
in an emotional turmoil myself, right? Which I think in the past I would have been. Actually, I know in the past I would have been. I would have been reacting to their emotions and their highs and their lows, and I would have been right on that's up and down with them. And then I would be emotionally drained. I'd be feeling frustrated, and I would just be like, I don't know, I don't want to, you know, these people. And I would just, and I'm kind of like, well, either they will or they won't do this thing, and if I can help them, great, and if not, well, maybe somebody else can, you know.
Yeah. It's like just words. You know, words have
Yeah.
such like energetic charges to like, I feel like that's why, yeah, no, I know for a fact that's why the world we're in is so like divided, because
Mm-hmm.
the words that we're using, like people process it so differently. You know, there's like so many emotions attached to different words. Whenever you say something like, and you mean something, like when you're saying something and you have a certain meaning behind it, right? But somebody sees it as something different. It's like, how could we ever be on the same page? You know,
Right.
like sometimes when, let's say you're direct, some people can see that, oh, like, I love that you're direct. Like, they don't react too much to it. But some people, if they grow up in a household where, let's say their parents like yelled at them, they were always like, you know, punishing them and so forth. Like, that directness can have those people feel like, okay, man, like, you're just like my mom or like just like my dad when I'm growing up. And that can remind them of all those emotions, you know? Yeah, definitely communication and just emotions ability is such a big, I guess for you, like when you, like what was the changes you've seen like in your process? Like when you started using these tools of change, like what initially made you want to get these tools, and what was the thing that shifted for you that you're like, okay, this can actually work for me?
I mean, I guess why I got it is because, you know, Avery, a lot of people know Avery in the group. We've been friends for a long time, and he was really excited about this and showed it to me. And I was like, okay, fine, show me a demo. And I thought, okay, there's something here to it only because of a point of understanding. You know, I mean, I was a voracious reader. I did very well in school, worked very hard too. But I felt like as an education and as I was being explained to, because I didn't understand the full depth of it yet, but just being explained as like an education tool and learning how to relearn, I was like, this doesn't really make sense to me. But I thought, okay, fine, let's show it to me. And then doing the demo, I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this. So that's when I got it. But for me to actually go down and do the work and really do it deep, it took me a long time to really do it and start understanding it. And seeing the benefits from it. And I think where it started seeing the benefits was kind of like one of my many times where I came back to the tools and said, okay, maybe there's something to it and I should try this again. Because I would work on it and then go away and then work on it and go away and then, you know, come back and like, okay, let's try this again. There's got to be something to this. Is really when I started getting a little more stable if something changed in my life, like a job, right? So maybe the company was doing layoffs and I was just one of the people who got laid off. Well, I would have taken that so personally, like it was against me, right? Whereas opposed to, no, they were doing layoffs and they had to make a cut and you were just part of the decision to make a cut with 5 other people or whatever it was, right? And so the first time that I really saw this really having some impact in my life was when I took a day, I think I took a day or two, really let it hit me hard that it was against me and it was personal, everything. And then I started doing the work and then I started using the tools a little bit. And then at like 2 days later, I was like, okay, I'm good. Okay, maybe it wasn't against me. It wasn't personal. All right, moving on. And that was the first moment. Whereas before I would have held on to that feeling for a long time. And then as I'm looking for a new job or something, going on, I would be holding that feeling that this thing was personal against me. Right. And then it was like, okay, within 2 days, I kind of had like what I call my like sob story time and like my poor me. And then it was like, okay, now I can actually move on and I could leave that behind. And that was the first time I really noticed a small part. I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this. Maybe I just got to keep working on it a bit more and keep doing the work to keep getting more results. But so that was the first time I saw a hint of it and continued on with it. Yeah. And then it was just, really, the last couple of years, I finally decided to do the work on a deep level. I just didn't want to be honest.
Yeah.
And I did it on a deep level, really out of, I hit that bottom and I had to do it out of necessity for things to really start shifting and changing. And, like moving forward now, I'm like in a really great job with amazing people, learning amazing skills from these people, being able to be in a position that, I guess I had doubts I would be in a position that I could do these kinds of things. But now it's like, I also know what my real goals and my purpose and what my drive is for. And so I'm really clear on that. And then also, just being able to get into better relationships with people, friendships, business wise, relationship wise. I mean, like even the fact, like in sales now, I can have a conversation and maybe I have a moment where I go, oh, that person was really hard and awful, and I can just like shake it off and then go on to the next call, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
before I would hold on to that, right?
You just start like accumulating like more and more and like in your body, right? You're like, oh, like, F that guy. And
yeah,
then it goes
right.
into your next calls.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's really been, just in a nutshell, how it's been really impacting me. And I'm just honestly grateful for the community because they've not only called me out on my stuff, like, Elisa and Avery have called me out for years. They're like, you got to do the work. You got to go deep. I'm like, I'm doing it. They're like, yeah. You're not doing it. Like, you got to go deep. And I mean, for them to be persistent, but also the community to hold you to account and be responsible, right? Like, I think that's the greatest gift that honestly, aside from all the transformations, is just having a community who is not going to let you just get away with stuff either. They're going to call you out. They'll be there supportive of you and helping you work through whatever it is you need to work through and giving different maybe insights, but they're going to come back to you and help you like really walk through those points and really, and it may take you years to get there, right? But they're going to be persistent in encouraging you to do it because they do see the best in you, right? And they do want the best for you. And they know you have it. Like, they know you can do it and they know you can have what you're looking for. So I love that support from the community where they just stand by you, even if it is years, right? Like, they're like, okay, you just keep going. You got to do this.
Persistence. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's what I've noticed too about, our community. It's like they're going to keep pushing. It's like, dude, you have to grow. You have to walk this process, And like, I've noticed that we do that for each other because like we're all like interconnected, right? We're all like on the same planet. And like whenever, like the whole principle of giving as you like to receive, like we're really big on that, right? And then we know that if we give to you, you're going to give, maybe not to us back directly, but you can give to us in giving to others. And then those people give to others. And it's like a whole ripple effect, right? And somehow that's going to come back to you in different forms. Let's say like you're supporting your neighbor in, like you're giving them eggs, whatever, like pasture raised eggs because they ran out. And then they give you like their harvest, like the apples, grapes, whatever, it's the exchange, And then when you're supporting people in your community, like they're growing, they're leveling up, like when you're around people like that, you're also going to grow too. Right? Plus, when you have a community that also has kids, those kids will also grow, be very smart. And then when you have kids, your kids have friends, right? It's like a full circle,
Yeah.
And like, yeah, just the whole point on like really being persistent for each other. Just looking at how can we do that for everybody? Like how can we stand up for others who can't stand up for themselves? Because it's just like we're in our own ways. Like we are like our biggest like critic, our biggest enemies. We prevent ourselves from like getting to where we want to be before anybody else like tells us we're not good enough, right? We tell ourselves we're not good enough first, and then just having this community, like really being there for each other and showing us that, hey, like, dude, you could freaking do it. You could change. You could grow. Don't give up now, right? And, it's super cool. Was there anything else you wanted to ask me too?
Yeah. Well, I just find it's really interesting when you actually see people in the community grow and change, and you see like a number of the people I've talked to, I've known in real person, right? In real life, or I've met them, and when you actually see the changes, you're like, holy man, this stuff, like this works. This community works. The support works. The tools work. So even if when you're in a moment like where you're not seeing huge growth in yourself, you're looking around, you go, but I can see it in everybody else, right? And that's kind of that's very encouraging to actually just see, how people change and shift in themselves and their relationships, how things I mean, yeah, I mean, I remember meeting Joe back, like his first event. Like I don't even think he had Technosphere yet.
Oh, Joe
He
Jackman?
invited, yeah, Joe Jackman, right? Like I
Yeah.
remember meeting him and who he is now from where he was there. I mean, it's a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
And there's other people in the community. I mean, I've known them for years and then just seeing the change in them and you're just like, holy man, like you stuck with it, you kept going on it even when it was hard and we weren't seeing results, and you just kept working on it and kept going because somebody in the community was supporting you and saying, hey, I'm gonna help you with this, let's get through this, let's work on these things. And just to see the change in the people is, I mean, some of the people, it's night and day, honestly.
Yeah.
And so
Did you go on were you at the cruise too? The last cruise?
no, I couldn't go. No, I didn't.
Oh no, Kat, you
No,
missed it.
I missed the cruise. Yeah.
So good.
I was
Yeah.
still stuck in my own stuff and I was on the other side of it, but I just was like, hadn't gotten to the point of the money yet. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we're working on these other things now. So,
For sure. So
um,
like I going back to the point where you're just seeing people around you grow, right? I think I went to almost every event, right? The first Stuff Perfected, and then Miami, distributor events too, like Texas, hanging out at Cameron's house. And every year I'm seeing just everyone, like, I'm like, what the heck? Like, who are you, bro? Like, how'd you grow so much? It's like everyone's just shifting so much. And I see as a collective, like when we're together, we grow so much faster. There's a really cool quote that I go by. It's like, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together, right? So that's the power of events. That's the power of like in-person, like masterminds, in-person meetups. And then like for me, I run like a little like a mastermind over in Orange County, California. And just having that, like just running it is helping me expand too. It's helping me be that leader for others, be that person that can, like push people to grow, to like change, right? And I see that like just having community of like-minded people, guys who are, living by like principles, purpose, you want to just create change in the world. Like that's like, we need that everywhere, literally,
yeah.
and like, yeah, I'm just looking back now, like past 5 years. Like, it was funny because last night I was taking a shower and then I was thinking of my old life. Like I was like, man, like I was partying, doing drugs. Like I was hanging around these friends who were bad influences. At some level, I'm like, dang, I kind of missed that old life, right? And then I'm like, wait, hold up. Why did I just think that, right? I would catch myself in those moments. I'm like, okay. Because at some level within myself, I still want to just have fun and like be comfortable, like not take responsibility, right? And that ties in with like the self-sabotage point where it's like, I see myself growing, but at some level, I don't believe that I deserve that growth. Right? I'm just looking at, like, again, without these tools, like I wouldn't have realized this stuff, right? And everyone that's going through like tough times, or they're struggling in business and sales or just whatever, they're not realizing that they have these points unconsciously that's running their life, right? There's like limiting beliefs, self-sabotage points from childhood. And like before Technotutor, man, I would just like, the self-sabotage would come from just having those bad habits, like waking up late. I'll start binge eating junk food. I didn't really know why, right? But it was like a physical thing I felt where I'm like, oh man, I just had the urge to like want to binge eat. But now looking back, it was just suppression. It was all suppression and stuff, You've seen like a lot of people, like they're very suppressed, right? In this world. Like when I go to networking events, everyone's just in their heads. They're like looking down. They don't want to talk to each other. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like that's why I freaking love these tools. Like helps you just see reality so much. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you and I, Kat, we took the red pill. You know, like we
Yeah.
see like beyond the veil, like beyond the matrix. You know,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I took the red pill a long time ago and I've never gone, I mean, really look back. It's like, oh wait, let me question
yeah,
that. But I've always been that person to question things anyways, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
that's right, right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No. And it's so I mean, we can talk forever. I know we can. we get at these events and we talk till like 4 a.m, right? So
yeah.
but I'm just curious, like if you were to go back to your 10-year-old self now, like what advice would you give them?
What advice? My 10-year-old self,
Mm-hmm.
get Techno Tutor. Like, yeah, that as well as like, dude, I would just share that it's like you could grow, you could
Mm-hmm.
change. Like you're not just this person forever. Like your life wasn't just pre-planned for you. Like you're not just
Mm-hmm.
destined for failure. You know, like yeah, I would just say that and like expose myself to personal growth way sooner. You know, I started getting personal growth when I was 20. You know, back in 2020, and then like realized that the things that I felt my parents were doing to me, like the abuse, the neglect, realized that they were just abused, right? They're just,
Mm-hmm.
they raised me the way their parents raised them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know better, right? So give them grace, you know, like not like forgive yourself for, you know, being mad at them, having, you know, resentment towards them because they didn't know better, right? And just realize that, hey, everyone in this world, they're just going through the exact same thing, the exact same abuse, exact same cycle. And like, there's no way to change it unless you're aware of that stuff happening and you know how to change
Mm-hmm.
yourself, right? Which is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, technically a process, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will for sure say that. There's probably more, but that's what came up, you know, like gut reaction.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's really important. I hope everybody's grabbing that as well, is that, you know, being able to forgive not yourself, but also your family because they're just really replaying what they were taught. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then, so, I mean, as you're moving forward now, like, is there anything else that you want to share or any other advice you want to give to people right now who are watching this? Because there's a lot of people who are from the community, of course, who will watch this, but then there's going to be people outside of our community who may just find this for the first time.
I will say, like, if you're someone that's, you know, you feel stuck or you feel stuck in life in just any area, right? You feel like there's no way out. You've tried everything, you can't just break through. Like, hit us up, you know, hit up Kat, hit me up, hit up the community. We're always here to help out, here to push each other, help each other grow. Because when we help you grow, you know, we grow as well. And like, yeah, just realize that you could change. You know, you're not just stuck in this, like, you don't have to be stuck in the same pattern forever, you know? And there's more to life than just like working a job or, you know, being self-interested, you know, and just like, you know, looking forward to the weekends, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. I'm just taking that in because it's just thinking about how many years I lived that, like waiting for the weekend, right? Working through the job to get to the weekend.
And that was
So
fun though, you know? I had so much fun with that. I'm like, yo, the weekend, like go out, rave, party and stuff. Like that shit was fun. Like, however, it's not best. It's like abuse to yourself, you know? It's like just suppression. But yeah, if you want to level up, come join us. You know, we got calls every Friday for free, 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. Eastern. You know, if you're tired of being stuck, if you're tired of, going through a cycle of mediocrity, hit up Kat,
Yeah.
will help you change your life.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I do have in the description, I have the link for the Hangout group for people to join. So if it's something they're interested in, they can click on the link in the descriptions and share it with people as well. So thank you so much, John, for coming and doing this today. I appreciate you taking some time out of your Sunday. And, I know we're going to chat a lot more, but truly appreciate you sharing today. And
thanks so much. Yeah, I truly enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to, have me share my story. And again, really hope that it can change at least one life from whoever's watching this. So I really appreciate you.
Okay.